All right, good evening and welcome everyone to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we are here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Drivers making their qualifying laps right now. As they get our starting grid set up for this evening's event. Say last week we had a barn burner of a race at Daytona with Kevin DeBrown able to pull off the win at the end with the help from Larry Yingling on that middle line. But I say they were 3 by 3 as pretty much whoever was in that lead pack. I'm going to say Ryan Kelly C in second in points, Larry Yingling third, Travis Turnmeyer fourth, Chad Wilkes rounds out our top five. So they're going to kind of go from the plate race to now kind of more of the bread and butter of the series here, even though, like I mentioned, they're going to have a little bit more the short tracks, road courses, things of that nature. So there's going to definitely be a mix of things here. But I think this is going to kind of be, for me, Dale, at least kind of where I think I think this is going to be a good insight on what we should expect to see from a lot of these drivers throughout the season, especially when you get to those 1.5 and 2 mile tracks.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. As far as saving tires and managing all that, this Homestead's going to be very similar to those. Though it is in that same 1.5 mile track length. It is slightly different in shape and banking, so it kind of throws a different dynamic in there as well.
Yeah, this is actually this could be a really fun track for some of these drivers. I know it's kind of a love-hate for a lot of drivers with this place, but it's a little bit different. And like I said, with the progressive banking, except for like with Kansas, you're going to be rim riding once you get a few laps under your belt. But here at Homestead, I've done a few laps here the past week or so, and depending on the setup, of course, but it really seemed like you could actually run kind of the middle, that first seam there, kind of the middle, if you will, and then also, though, if there's people in your way there, you can run that top line, that top seam there, and you seem like you can make pretty good time there as well. So I'll be pretty curious to see what kind of moves these drivers make, where they want to try to position their cars here, either defensively or offensively, to try to make something happen here.
Yeah, and you mentioned there's like off the get go, there's going to be two lines that guys can choose to run, and that's unique across the service. There's really not a lot of tracks that can happen. You mentioned Kansas. Kansas, you could start on the bottom, but you always end up at the wall. Here, you're pretty much going to have the option throughout the entire race.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what the strategy is to say. It did look like it's a little on the loose side for a few of these drivers during practice, so we'll be definitely curious to see what that's going to look like for a handful of them. I was unfortunately, I missed you in the booth on Sunday, but say it was pretty cool. Had a little bit of help in the booth from that 94 of Maxwell Caldwell to join me up there. So it'll be pretty fun to see what he's able to do tonight. And of course, we got to pull up our starting grid to see how everybody was able to do. On that pole position is going to be the 17 of Chad Wilkes. I'm not surprised to see him up there. Also defending winner Kevin Brown in that second position. Ryan Kelly third. Larry Yingling fourth. And got Kevin Freeze, one of our Super Speedway regulars here as well again. Qualifies in the fifth position, so it's showing that he's a man of many talents. Got James Lee, I think a new face to the league here in sixth. And you got Travis Turnmeyer there in seventh. Brandon Pasalacqua in eighth. And then 9th through 16th, you got Joshua Schofner, I'll have to find out with that. Lewis Woodall, Andrew Pleshy, Charles Johnson, Skylar Brown, Todd Merkel, Jim Brooks, and Trevor White. And 17th through 24th here, we've got Robbie Richards, Maxwell Caldwell, James Ledford, Matt Quick, Dude Conrad, Kevin Hash, Gabe Butler, and Eric Laurie. The last group here in the field here not taking a qualifying lap are Michael Spell, Nicholas Winook, and Paul Patterson. So I like this, Dale. So we got a handful of the Super Speedway regulars. They're gonna say they paid to pay for the series. They're gonna looks like make the most of it. They ran last week, obviously at Daytona. That made sense. But now they're gonna kind of, I think, see what their oval racing chops are on the non-super speedways. I mean, just based on qualifying. I mean, you see Kevin Freeze there up in fifth, Travis Turnmeyer in seventh. So I would not be surprised to see some of these guys be pretty talented and pretty good contenders here as well, which is this is what we want to see. I mean, I want to see a pretty hard fought season through season 7 completely, and I know these drivers are definitely going to be watching that 67 of Larry Yingling to try to make sure that they kind of give him a little bit of a harder life this season.
Yeah, you got also the 89 of Matt Quick in here, who's a Super Speedway regular. And usually my favorite, just for his ability to save so much. So I'm really interested to see what he can do here on a tire wear track, because we know he's the fuel save master on the super speedways. So I'm like I say, I'm really interested to see what he can do as far as saving tires throughout a long run.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I say that. I think that's a really good point. Say maybe that fuel saving goes along with some really good tire saving as well. So usually those do go pretty well hand in hand, especially at these tracks. So you got to be real gentle with the throttle to make sure you can kind of not burn up that right rear tire. So, and that's going to be the thing, is really managing that right front and the right rear. I think those are going to be the two critical points for everybody this evening. Like I said, during practice, it definitely looked like it was a little bit on the free side. However, with this being a night race, track temp is very good for these drivers. Say 64 degrees ambient, 66 on the track. So going to be plenty of grip on the track here. So we'll see what kind of that brings in store for us here.
Extra sets of tires for these drivers, as well as one fast repair. So, if there is an incident or they get wrapped up in something, they'll be able to repair and get back out and try to do something with it.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that come into play before, so we'll see how it comes this evening, if it comes into use or not. As pace car is green flag is out, as Chad Wilkes and Kevin Brown lead the front row here coming to green.
Big start for both of them as they're side by side going into one. I mean, almost dead even, as Chad Wilkes is going to pull a little bit on the bottom, but Kevin's definitely going to be able to get a run here off the top side.
Yeah, that's where that momentum's going to come into play right off the bat. You can see, like you said, right off of turn number 2, Kevin gets a pretty good exit there. So didn't quite get the run. You see Larry Yingling got a big run there off of turn number 2. However, nowhere for him to take that line. And I say here you see that fight for where you want to put your cars. You see Chad Wilkes kind of running just above that seam like we suspected. Saying at the line, looks like Chad's going to just eke out that first lap lead.
Go neck and neck going back into one, and I think we're going to see the exact same thing we saw in the first lap. Was the Larry Yingling actually dropped down to the bottom this time instead of staying up there on the top.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be a mixed bag of where you want to be on track to be able to kind of take care of your tires here. I'd say I've definitely seen some people kind of bouncing between inside-outside lines to try to figure out where the best tire wear is as well. You see Chad Wilkes tries to clear himself off for it, can't do it here. I say again, Kevin's going to get a big run on the exit again, though Chad Wilkes just edges him at the start-finish line.
Yeah, really, really impressed with the early performance. Kevin got a little higher there. Kind of interested to see what that's going to do for him. But yeah, I mean, they're just neck and neck for these first 3 laps.
Yeah, saying it's one of the things we mentioned last week, where Kevin really isn't one to just sit and ride. He likes to really control these races, kind of set the pace if he can. But you can see definitely is under attack here, or I should say having a fight to do so. As you can see, now he's going to do the crossover. Chad Wilkes was able to clear that 93, exiting turn number 4. But then Kevin ducks back underneath him, see if he can clear himself through 1 and 2. He definitely does there. So Kevin going to take over the lead here on lap number 4.
Yeah. Might have been a little bit of Chad just, done fighting, wanting to settle in a little bit. The long race. I'm not sure that was just Kevin straight overpowering him. I think Chad might have gave him a little bit there.
Yeah, I'd say Chad definitely, he's definitely learned a lot on the tire saving side of things. So and we've really seen Chad as one of the quicker cars on the long runs. So we always talk about Ryan Kelly being one of those as well in that 13 car. I'd say Ryan's actually got a pretty fun little paint scheme on his car. He's got the Miami Vice kind of styling to his paint job on that number 13 machine. So a really good looking car there for him. To say pretty fun to see him put that out here this evening. And say, yeah, I definitely would suspect you'll see Ryan have a good run tonight here.
Yeah, and Ryan had a great performance at Daytona. He's going to come in here just 6 points behind.
Oh, we got contact in the back. I think Travis Turnmeyer is going to hang on to it. Looked like it was contact possibly between him and Andrew Pileshi. But they somehow hang on to it. So we're going to go 3 wide here into turn 1 just with that momentum loss. But I say this is where Travis has to be real careful. That rear tire is very angry after that slide. And then just has to try to get things settled back in there.
Kind of a sweet spot when you're exiting these corners that you want to be. If you're too low, the car gets, to me, extremely loose. And if I come off too high, just in my experience, it just plows straight into the outside wall. So for me, there's just a real narrow sweet spot you have to be in to get off the corner fast.
Yeah, we're going back to take a look at it now. Yeah, just a little bit of contact between Andrew and Travis there. Great hands by Travis. Don't know honestly how he held onto that car, but he's able to keep it pointed straight. So really, I'd say he's kind of one of the early candidates for the save of the race, if you will, here. However, while we're watching that, though, Kevin has snuck away here almost over a second lead now. And you can see, I think Larry Yingling's trying to react to that. You can see he's trying to work over Chad Wilkes and grab that second position.
Larry's not going to sit back there and let somebody get a big lead on him. Once Kevin gets out there a good ways, it's more difficult to reel him back in. My concern at this point is he is so much faster than the rest of the field by about 3/10. How much tire wear is he going to suffer?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So again, we talked about that short run versus long run speed. So he's going to have to be very careful about that. Another guy we got to keep an eye on is Lewis Woodall in that 00 machine, the Pepsi car. He started 10th up to 6th already. So I mean, it's a great start for him, especially when you think about he's in the top half of the field right off the bat. So definitely gotten around some quick cars to begin things off here. Also showing pretty good lap time as well. Of course, got to mention Maxwell Caldwell as well. He's in the kind of in the thick of things right here. Right now, showing about 12th position. But the same thing for him. He is +6 from the start of this race. So definitely maybe not the qualifying lap he was looking for, but he's definitely finding his way forward.
Talk about Brandon Paslak started 8th, running 8th, but just running great times. I mean, on pace with everybody, running smooth lines. I think he's well on his way to being able to make it up to the front.
Yeah, Brandon's definitely one of those guys that I think also does a really good job of taking care of his stuff. So I'll say he's going to be for sure one to watch. Should we get a long run here this evening, which I'll say right now it's a really good start to the race. Again, obviously don't want to ever jinx that kind of a situation, but definitely a good start for him. He's looking underneath the 54 there of James Lee. I think James also. I think he may be a new. I can't remember if he ran last week or not. No, he did. Yeah, I remember the Caterpillar car. So I think this is his first season though with Area 51. So again, a really good showing for him as well. Oh, I saw Jim Brooks catch the wall off of turn number 2 there on the exit. Pretty solid contact. I think the car will still be drivable, but definitely going to have some pretty decent damage to that right side. See him actually drop straight to the bottom here. Wasn't sure if he's going to maybe try to make a pit stop, but he's staying out. But you can see that right side definitely a little bit pancaked there.
Talked about Larry Yingling working on Chad Wilkes for that second position. He was able to get around, and now he is shortening that distance between him and Kevin Brown as he's back underneath the second.
Yeah, you're right. It was about 0.2 of a second that last time by. Quickest car on track as well for Larry Yingling. So, again, not a big surprise there. Right now we got, looks like about 3 drivers in the 8s, which are Larry Yingling, Chad Wilkes, Ryan Kelly. I'm saying those are the 3 drivers that I really think of long-term pace of being those 3. So, kind of doing what they do best right now. So we'll see again, like I said, that the short run versus long run pace for these guys. The other thing is, unfortunately, I don't know for sure what the fuel window is. I'll say let me try to hit some of these drivers up when we get the opportunity to get some info here. I know we did have the offer, so I'm a little hesitant to offer or to take it up now. So I'll let you maybe be my conscience over my shoulder, Dale. But say Larry did offer, wanted to maybe try to do an interview even during green flag conditions here. So not sure we want to pull in that 67, see if we can maybe find something out with him.
Well, that's not really surprising that Larry would offer that during green flag because he's always just so comfortable in what he's doing. So I think if anybody can come in and talk to us and still maintain race pace, it's going to be him.
Yeah, so we'll try to see if we can time it in a good spot. Say everything, but I'll say it's all pretty single file right now. Say there's a pretty good gaggle here though, right around the 13, 12. Actually, right outside the top 10 really. You see the 10 of Skylar Brown. He's right there in that mix. You see the 82 Andrew Plish. You can see there he got tight again, had to roll out of it. That cost him a lot of momentum here. It's going to open the door for the 10 of Skylar Brown to get to his inside, I should say. But again, though, I think that outside line, that momentum we talked about, just seems like it really does work well for these drivers.
Yeah, you get back here in the 7th position with Charles Johnson. They're kind of stacked up behind him. And I don't think it's necessarily that he's holding the line up. I just think this is where the average pace of the field is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what I say. I think this is what the pace of this group is right here. You can see Brandon is now starting to make a move to the inside, see if he can make something happen there. And I think that's the option that you have here is you can make some moves happen. You see Charles, he's going to opt to run this middle to top line right now, definitely the top line. And so that's going to open the inside line for Brandon Paslak. We'll see if he's able to get enough to get underneath him. But you can see right there, can't quite do it, not enough to get his nose underneath. And the other thing to mention, Dale, is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you have to drive these turns very different. 1 and 2, a much faster turn than 3 and 4. You really have to slow the car down a lot more in 3 and 4.
Absolutely. And in that, you have to keep awareness of where you are on the racetrack, especially when you're grouped up like you have here about 8 through 12. It's easy to be focusing on the cars around you and kind of forget where you are on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So say trying to poke around a little bit, still seeing, say, you can still see that battle hanging on for that 7th position, but now you see Brandon Paslockaway, he's lost a little bit of momentum. That's going to open the door for Maxwell Caldwell, and he's going to actually get that pass cleared there in 3 and 4. Maybe Brandon gave him a little bit of room, said, all right, I tried, I couldn't do it, I'm going to let you give it a shot and see if you can make something happen there. And then again, another new face, new name to the league right behind him, that 50 of Joshua Schaffner. Again, really good start for him as well. So again, I'll have to hit him up and make sure I got the last name pronunciation. I say it could be Schaffner, it could be Schofner. So you definitely don't want to botch those for these guys. Oh, actually, you see Charles Johnson just caught the wall there on the backstretch there off of 2, and that's going to really hurt the momentum there. That's going to really be a kind of a blessing for these guys that were trying to get around him earlier.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's banged up too bad, but I mean, this is a faster racetrack, so you can see that right fender caved in a little bit, I guess. So that's definitely going to affect him there on the top end.
Yeah, so that's where that risk versus reward comes in as well. Do you risk using a fast repair on the first stop, or do you just try to get the damage repaired manually? Or you have to let it be potentially if we have a green flag pit stops, which say we're already 19 laps into this run. Actually, I see. Oh no, I think it's just a connection issue. I saw James Ledford look like he was hitting the pits. But yeah, I got to mention the gap up front though. Again, the Larry Yingling has closed that gap back down. You can see again about 7/10 of a second. They've actually kind of equalized right now. Say Kevin actually about just under a tenth quicker than Larry that last time by. So it looks like Kevin's actually found some pretty good short run and long run pace in that number 93 car.
Yeah, that could be very difficult to do. What I do like about Kevin is I'm watching him enter, and he's entering a little higher and kind of slow arcing it down and then riding back. So he's maintaining just a ton of momentum doing that.
Yeah, that's really what these cars are now with this package, Dale. You got to keep the momentum up. It's critical to be able to make good lap times here. Because again, if you slide the tires a little bit, or you have to check up on exit, things like that, you're going to lose tenths of a second. So yeah, you're exactly right. So you got to keep that momentum up. That's really the name of the game for these guys.
Yeah, as far as like comparing it to other cars on a service, it's kind of, and I might get a little heat for saying this, but it's kind of similar to the street stocks, how you have to run the street stocks like Charlotte and all that. It's just so momentum based, and small errors cost a lot of time.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it so much more difficult now. Is like you said, just the little errors you have to make that you can make is they just cost you so much, and that's why I think you see so much aggression early on. But so we're gonna jump around a little bit here because I say got a second group here a little further back with Kevin Hash here. I see he's worked his way around Jim Brooks. As again, Jim with that wall contact, you can see he's definitely struggling in that 76 car. He's got a couple cars gotten around him now. First of was the 8 of Dude Conrad. You see Gabe Butler not too far behind as well. Also Matt Quick, Nicholas Winook. So I say when you get that right front damage, these cars get very tight. It makes it very difficult to drive.
Yeah, and it just compounds the tire wear. I mean, because it might take you a little while to realize what's going on, and in that time, you're just chewing the tires off of it. It looks like Gabe Butler's caught up there to Jim Brooks as well.
Yeah, Matt Quick joining the party pretty quickly as well here. So gonna jump again. Like I say, looking at trying to kind of find our movers right now. Again, biggest mover right now is that 94 Maxwell Caldwell. He is plus 11 from his starting position. Went from 18th to 7th here, so a great opening stint for him right now. Say lap time's actually pretty good as well. He's been running right around what the leaders have been running up front. So even with having to work his way forward, I think he's definitely been doing a good job of taking care of those tires.
Yeah, James Lee, he's kind of gone the opposite direction, and I think that might be a tire saving deal there as well, because he started 6th, is now running in the 14th position.
Yeah, so he was kind of smack dab in some pretty aggressive racing in a pretty good big group earlier on as well. So I wonder he may have just got a little bit too much of tire wear early on trying to fight in that battle there. And that's kind of where you have to pick those battles here. So let's say you see we're right on lap number 25. So let's say if drivers are thinking about making a 3-stopper race, this is where they would hit their first set of pit stops. But I suspect we're going to see a 2-stopper strategy here, Dale. I think drivers are going to try to aim to get around lap 33, 34 to make it on a 2-stopper. I think just the pace is going to be able to do that because fall-off is not terrible, I must say. It's about 2 seconds, and it looks like it's kind of stabilized right now at that 2-second mark.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to gain anything. To me, the 3-stop strategy is not the way to go, unless there's a caution, of course. But I don't think you're gonna gain enough to recover from that extra stop.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So another one a little further back, but also making really good moves up to the front right now. Michael Spell in that 88 car from 25th to 18th right now. You see he's in a pretty good battle here. So you can see that actually some of the guys like Kevin Hash, Matt Quick and company, they've kind of caught back up to him. So you see he's side by side with that 14 of Trevor White. Trevor looks like he's trying to use that top groove again as well. And that's what you see. Usually we talk about, you kind of see these guys just running pretty much everybody running the exact same lines, but you see so many different lines happening right now as Matt Quick's going to poke to the inside here, see if he can make it 3 wide and maybe get a 2 for 1.
Yeah, that's a pretty aggressive move for Matt, I think. We don't usually see him try those things, but I think he's real comfortable where his car is right now and how it's handling. So definitely had some confidence in making that move.
Yeah, I think he feels like he's got that grip. He probably felt like he's like, hey, I've been saving my tires better than these guys. I need to kind of get through now, because I say actually we'll hop on board, because if you look in front of him, he's got a lot of room in front of him. So some nice clean air on that car as well to help that thing move, because they help that drive just a little bit quicker.
Yeah, actually about a 1/10.5 quicker this time by than last. So I think we're going to see him start to make some big moves here.
Yeah, the downside, of course, starting towards the back, is that fact that you lose so much time on track. So you can see he's about 15 seconds already off the lead. And that's just how it is. I mean, up front, so you can kind of get the clean air and go right off the bat. Even if you're fast, it takes a lot of time to work your way towards the front, and get through some traffic and things of that nature. So right now, though, say Matt definitely is, I think, got those tires underneath him. And again, you mentioned, Dale, another 32.8, and I mean that's right on par with our leaders here. Larry Yingling a 79, Kevin a 83. So I mean he's within about a 10th of our leaders.
Yeah, and there's quite a few guys ahead of him as running 33 flats, 33 ones. So
yeah, exactly right. And also looking again at those 32s, say no surprise, some of our, like I said, some of the guys we kind of expect to see up there. Like the Ryan Kelly, Chad Wilkes, and like you mentioned, Maxwell Caldwell, he's kind of been creeping his way up there again as well, now up to 6th position in that 94. So he's definitely been making some pretty good moves as well. Right now, I'd say it's still steady about that 7/10 of a second lead between our leader, Kevin Brown, and Larry Yingling. It's been holding pretty even here. And just a little bit behind them, Ryan Kelly there with Chad Wilkes, same thing for them. They're pretty much running near identical times between the two of them, and it's almost the same thing, just about that 6/7 of a second gap between them. I just wonder, maybe that's where maybe the aero is. We definitely talked about the aero definitely seems to play a role in these cars lately. So I wonder if that's playing a factor here as well.
I really expected Larry to have caught Kevin by now, and it's not saying anything bad that Larry hasn't. Just what I'm used to seeing out of Kevin Brown is that he's not very light on the tires, where Larry is, I guess would be the way to put it. So I kind of expected Kevin to have burned him up a little bit more than he has, but he's done very well in saving him.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking too, is Kevin kind of do that leap out and then Larry kind of slowly but surely reel him in. So I think that's going to be a realization for these drivers where it's like, hey, these tires actually kind of even out pretty quickly. So this might add to a little bit of aggression later on in the run. I mean, you do see Larry is again closing in on the gap again, down to about 6/10 of a second. So the gap is shrinking, but like I said, just not what we thought it might be, as we do have our first taker on pit road here, Dale. It's going to be the 00 of Lewis Woodall. And I actually got to mention, this is a very difficult pit to get into. We've seen a lot of drivers try to make the pit entry and then overshoot it. So I'll say Lewis is doing that strategy we talked about, though, going to pit right at that 3rd mark here. So now the question is, he was also top 5, so we'll have to see, does anybody react to this? So right now it looks like the rest of the leaders are staying out. We're going to jump a pretty good battle here going on now right around the 6th position. You see you got Kevin Freeze there. You've got the 50 of Joshua Schaffner, Andrew Pileshi right there, Brandon Pasolaco not too far behind, Skylar Brown as well in this mix. So I say you got 5 cars pretty much under a blanket here. I say right now that 00 is the only one to make a pit stop, so he's got to hope that this thing cycles through. And I kind of think, again, we talked about that tire, how they kind of equaled out. So usually you want to go late, but it seems like this time around, this short pitting may be actually a pretty viable option.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm interested to see here, because we know he's going to be about 2 seconds a lap faster, 2.5 seconds a lap faster. Kind of interested to see how well he's going to work through the traffic and be able to make this time back up.
Yeah, so this is where you got to hope that you find the right line where they're not running and not lose the momentum. As you can see right off the bat, he's having to go all the way to the white line there to get around the 40 to James Ledford. Again, nothing James is doing wrong here, but when you got cars going about 3 seconds a lap faster than you, it's just there's only so much you can react to.
Yeah, and you know he's the only one to pit so far, like we talked about. So maybe James just wasn't aware that he was on fresh tires. I mean, it's definitely easy to lose track of that kind of thing.
Yeah, that it really is. As they had brought a few more in with him now as well. Charles Johnson, Jim Brooks, Michael Spell, they've all hit the pits. So it looks like I also see the 51 of Travis Turnmeyer, the 8 of Duke Conrad. They're all hitting the pits as well. We'll see if any of our leaders still opt to come in. Not yet. They're still going to stay out here. But we've got a little gaggle there, as that's where I was looking at initially here, right around the, like I said, around that 6-7 position. Looks like Andrew Plushy, he's been able to clear it, as is the 50 of Joshua Schofer. But you can see, though, from Brandon Passalacqua back, you got about 3 cars right here under a blanket. Oh, this is where trouble happens. You see a 00 trying to find his way through. This is the risk, though, of course, deal 2 of pitting early. Is just you don't have the track position, and you may not. The drivers may not realize that you, like you said, you've got the big head of steam and the grip that they don't have right now. And you see he's had to back off a lot of times not to get into the back of anybody, and so that's been really hurting his lap times where he hasn't been able to make the most out of those fresh tires.
And then I think he's working around Kevin Freese and Brandon Passalacqua, and Kevin was leading that group. He didn't want to give too much up and allow Brandon to get around him, which is what happened. So they're still racing for position, but trying to give that courtesy to the fresh tires.
Yeah, exactly right. And actually, here's a good explanation of that as well. You see Ryan Kelly, he just made a pit stop as well in that 13 car, and he's been able to actually cycle out in front of the 00, even with the 00 pitting multiple laps earlier than him. So say Ryan Kelly, he's actually, I feel like, in a pretty good spot here. So he's going to be the first car at the moment, one down. Skylar Brown also pitted. Kevin Freese is in as well. Say Ryan Kelly, he's one I think we need to watch to see if he can make these fresher tires work for him and maybe jump around that 93 and the 67. As again, that gap has really shrunk. Actually, as I say that, here comes Kevin. He's going to hit the pits here, coming to lap number 40. So 61 to go is going to be when he makes his first stop, which is going to transfer lead over to that 67 of Larry Engling.
Do you think we'll see Larry this next time?
I feel like you should. I mean, Larry's got the lap lead now, but I think, yeah, I feel like he should react to that, to the 93 car. So we'll see if he does. So a lot of times you'll see drivers just try to get that one extra lap, think that might be enough on the tire difference. So we'll keep an eye on him and see what he does here. So I'm definitely not going to interview him right now. Yeah, he's definitely coming in here. Here he comes. So it looks like a pretty nice clean pit entry. Chad Wilkes, he's going to stay out a few more laps, it looks like, for his side. And you can see, though, here comes Ryan Kelly, though, in that 13 car with those fresh tires, pretty close to unlapping himself.
Yeah, everybody's going to stay out as long as they can. Try to get that lap lead to get a bonus point. As we saw last season, that 1 point is what made the difference between, the champion and then second place.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So here's the big move right now. Ryan Kelly, he cycles out way ahead of Kevin Brown here. Almost a full straightaway length between that 13 and the 94. So now we're going to have to keep an eye on Larry Engling, see where he cycles out between himself and that 94 as well. So he should just now leaving his pit stop. So I think the 94 is going to sneak away just a little bit from him on this pit exit. We'll take a look, though, as we'll hop over with that 94, or sorry, the 67 here. So you can see Larry exiting pits. You see the 94 car coming up in the background, that inside line here. And I think actually Larry might be able to jump in the pits here, Dale. I think he's going to be able to get up to speed, and these guys are going to be right locked onto each other.
Yeah, but Larry's in the better position with one lap pressure tires, and I know that doesn't sound like a whole bunch, but that's a big difference.
Yep, you're exactly right. I say Maxwell Caldwell, he's going to duck off. He got his lap lead. He hits the pits as well. It gets in hot. Hopefully got it slowed down to speed on time there. You see a very aggressive pit entry, though, by that 94, trying to make all the time he can. So right now, the only two drivers that have yet to make pit stops are, no surprise, Mr. Fuel Saver, Matt Quick, and then the number 1 of Gabe Butler. So right now, I think these two are the last drivers to have yet to make their pit stop.
Yeah, not surprised to see Matt go out here. He's going to get every drop a few out of this machine as he can, as he says he's pitting in. So he must be low.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I felt skeptical that he could stretch it to a one-stopper, but again, if you do this again the next time around, you hope for maybe that caution to trap a couple guys laps down, things of that nature. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure as well. Here comes that 89-1 is going to come in with him here. So that's going to complete the cycle, and like I mentioned, this is going to give a big gap right now over to the 13 of Ryan Kelly, because he's got, like I mentioned, say we'll wait up for everything to cycle through, but it's going to be, I think, about a 5+ second lead for Ryan Kelly over Larry Yingling and Kevin Brown.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly, he had a pit stop of 13.7, which was about 2/10 faster than both Larry Yingling and Kevin Brown. So, I mean, great for him getting on and off pit road, and his crew did a great job as well there.
Yeah, saying a lot of that too has to do with hitting your marks. So say if you overshoot or pit too shallow, crew's got to adjust to do that. So I say that's also a credit to him for making sure he hits his marks well there in that number 13. So I also got to mention the one who pitted the first out of all these guys, Lewis Woodall. He cycles through in second position. So say same thing goes for Kevin and Larry. They're gonna have to work their way around this 00. Again, they've got about 8 lap fresher tires than him. But again, it's going to cost you a little bit of time still to make these passes.
Yeah, and he's not going to want to give up that position so easy. I mean, I understand he's on older tires and a little bit slower, but running up there into the top 5, you want to keep everything you can.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It looks like again, the tire difference definitely worked out in their favor there. So now what Ryan Kelly, I think his goal is going to be here is to see if these tires equalize as before they get to him. That way maybe it's a little bit more difficult for them to get to him, because right now you can see that gap between Larry and Kevin about 0.8 of a second, but then Larry again about 6 seconds off about 3 seconds I should say off our race leader.
I was kind of looking. Did Gabe get cycled back through just pit stops, or how did he end up a lap down?
Yeah, I think both Gabe and Matt got cycled through with the pit stops, because again, they started way back in the back here in the 20th and 23rd positions where they qualified. So even though they made some time up, it was just that issue of losing so much time at the beginning. It's really put them in a kind of in a bad spot here, and that's just the way these races go. If they go green here early, it's very easy to get caught laps down, and that's where you kind of play that risk versus reward of short pitting, or maybe trying to run late and see if those fresh tires will come into play. As you can see, though, actually, Gabe Butler in the one car, Larry Yingling's he's got to him, but then he hasn't been able to do anything with them. So I think, like we said, the slightly fresher tires for the one here in the 89, definitely doing serving these drivers well here.
Yeah, like you say, Larry was able to get right to one of Gabe Butler's back bumper, and just couldn't get any further than that. So Gabe stretched it back out a little bit from him here. So.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So I definitely got to mention, one car we do miss seeing on track right now is that number 6 of Bud Steele. I say he had to kind of step away for just a little bit to take care of a couple things, but he's hoping to be back again on Sunday. So Bud, definitely hope you're doing better. Definitely look forward to seeing you back out on track. I'm sure you're happy on Sunday to see your teammates there finish 1-2 in that super speedway race, though. But yeah, looking forward to. Definitely miss you, but yeah, looking forward to seeing you back on track here soon. All right, so you see Ryan Kelly, Matt Quick and Gabe Butler, they have actually gotten to each other now. So this is kind of the battle right now for that lucky dog position as they run. So the end goal for both of these drivers is try to get around that 13 of Ryan Kelly, as the gap from him to Larry Yingling, it's dropped to about 1.3 seconds. So Larry has shrunk that gap with the slightly fresher tires. But yeah, so we'll see once Larry gets to him, though. Can he do anything? As you see, the one almost gets in the back of the 89 there on entry to 3.
Yeah, Gabe just had a huge run into the corner, kind of outbraked Matt a little bit. Matt's going to be able to get around him here, but I don't think Ryan Kelly's going to give it up super easy.
I say, like you said, I mean, it's the same thing on the other foot now. If you're the leader, you don't want to give up too much time for these guys getting their laps back, because that's just going to bring Larry all the closer to you. And then same thing also is going to go for the draft and the aero here. Now that Ryan Kelly's going to kind of be in that dirty air of that 89 car. He had the nice clean air in front of him prior to this, so that car probably not going to handle it quite as well either.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But Matt Quick's out there with nobody in front of him really, so he's going to gain the advantage of that clean air and try to get away from Gabe Butler a little bit.
Yeah. So all right. So we're kind of mid pit cycle here. So what do you think? Should we try to dial up that 67 and bug him mid race like he asked us to?
Yeah, I think now's a good time. It's pretty calm. He's just about to be racing for the lead.
Yeah, I say no big deal, right? So first got to be able to get him down to us. All right, so we're going to be pulling in that 67 car. I say, well, wait till he gets to the straightaway here. I'll say, I'll wait to see if things calm down just a little bit. Because I say, don't want to put him in a bad spot here. I don't know, Dale. I say he's fighting for the lead. I wonder if this is not the best of times now.
Yeah, he's about 2/10 off and about 3/10 quicker than Ryan Kelly. So he's working on him now.
Yeah, let's give him a moment here. Let's let him focus and do his job and see if we can get this lead away from the 13. And maybe once he gets the lead and maybe gets a little bit of clean air on the nose, that might be the right time to bug him. But we'll definitely get a word in with our second place driver at the moment, Larry Yingling, our defending champion for Season 6. Let's say we're going to jump around the field here a little bit before we do get to that. Again, things have really kind of evened out here, but say looking at the 94 Maxwell Caldwell, he was one of the ones that went the longest on tires of those leaders up front, as he's going to peek underneath that 00 of Lewis Woodall here. This is Maxwell going to go try to get into the top 5 here, and then right behind him there's actually a pretty decent group of cars in this mix as well. Not too far behind is that 10 of Skylar Brown there. Say Skylar as well, 13th to 7, so he's having a really good showing here as well. It's been really good to see him kind of have a good run here. Say again, another new face to the league. I say, and also got to mention Kevin Free still rocking the top 5 or top 10 right now after his 5th place starting position. Again, showing he can definitely do more than those super speedways. And I think while I was doing that, we missed a lead change, so I apologize.
Yeah, Larry able to work the bottom there and get around Ryan Kelly. Puts Gabe Butler in a bad position, I guess, because Larry's going to run away from Ryan Kelly and Gabe Butler.
Yeah, well, I think Gabe is still in a decent spot because Matt Quick was able to grab that spot. So he's now on the tail end. So I'll put Gabe as the first car one down. But yeah, so definitely you always want to be ahead of the leaders. But yeah, so with that, we will now take advantage now that he's got some clean air. We'll bug that 67 car as he comes out of turn number 4 here. All right, Larry, you asked for a green flag interview. Say I was about to pull you up, and then you decided to try to pass Ryan Kelly for the lead. So I was like, oh, wait a second. But say you're able to now make your way to the point there. But yeah, so I say, well, I guess first off, how's the car handling here while you're trying to listen and drive at the same time?
Feels pretty good, and it's pretty stable. Definitely when you get around to 0.6 to 0.9 seconds behind someone, the dirty air definitely affects your car. And the whole first run, I was slowly closing in on Kevin, and once I got in that dirty air area, I was just getting stalled out. And I think Kevin had trouble, I guess, on pit stops. That helped me pass him quicker.
Yeah, and that's something that Dale and I were wondering too. Was we did mention the fact that we were kind of at the aero definitely seems to be more prevalent, more sensitive now this season than we've seen in previous ones. The other question we had was, do the tires seem like they're equalizing kind of as the run progresses? Where it seems like the fall off is around 2 seconds from your best laps to when kind of when they seem to stabilize. Do you think that maybe came into play a little bit as well?
A little bit. I don't know how much earlier Ryan pitted before me. I believe like 5-6 laps maybe. They stabilized pretty decently, but even 2-lap fresher tires is a lot faster than 2-lap fresher tires is faster than older tires, but for the most part stabilizes.
So you've been doing a really good job. I'd say we were kind of thinking we would see you kind of, like you said, chase down that 93 car and get the lead on that first run. Just it seemed like he was being so aggressive on the tires there. So it seems like you can maybe be a little aggressive on the short run, but still have those tires left in the long run. I don't know if that's something you've been looking at as well.
Somewhat. I've just been running the same line, so whatever that helps me get. The car feels really good. It really depends on the driver. I feel like I go a little bit deeper entering the corner than Kevin and Ryan and Chad, and it helps me how I brake, helps me get stable in the middle of the corner and gives me a nice run off. Entering 3 is definitely my weak point.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the toughest corners on the track for sure at this place. It's like, so again, it's kind of, even though they look very similar, obviously they drive very, very different. So, but yeah, I caught your message before. I was thinking, see about trying to pull you up here during the races. I want to make sure we caught you at a good time there, as I know you're not super far away from your final set of pit stops. I know probably about another at least 10, 15, I would say at least, to get to a safe window. And I'm sure you're going to be adjusting based on the guys around you as well. So So we'll let you get back focused here, Larry. Say, like I said, you're definitely stretching things out, though. Looks like about a tenth or two every lap. So say good luck, and hopefully we'll be chatting again with you soon at the end.
All right, hopefully. Thank you, sir.
All right, there's calm, cool, and collected Larry Yingling mid-race here. Wanted to pull him up for an interview, as they did sound. I mean, to me, it just sounded like he was on a nice little Sunday afternoon drive there, while hustling this car around pretty much faster than anybody.
Yeah, 2.5 tenths faster than Kevin Brown throughout that interview. So that's that just tells you how comfortable he is in this car.
And saying that's a critical thing as well, is to be able to have that comfort. Again, say everybody's running the same setup. It's a fixed setup league. I say the league admins work to try to make these setups nice and drivable for everybody. Obviously, there's probably faster setups that you could do. You see Jim Brooks, he's hitting the pits here, going to pit a little early. Maybe that damage kind of haunting him a little bit still. It's there. But yeah, so I kind of feel like if you can get that kind of that fine line where you're really comfortable with the car, and saying there are adjustments you can do before the race starts, like getting your steering ratio, how sensitive you want it. You can of course also be making adjustments to your brake bias in the race as well, and of course your offset. So there are a few things you can change pre-race, and of course you can adjust your brake bias plus minus 3% during the race. And so like I said, Dale, if these guys are maybe using a little brake on the entry to help these cars rotate, that might be coming into play as well.
Yeah, and the biggest handling adjustment you can make on these fixed setups is that brake bias, and that's driver dependent. As somebody just caught the wall, I couldn't tell who it was.
Yeah, Michael Spell in the 88 car. He's going to keep it on track, but I'm sure that definitely caught some of these drivers' attention. And saying that's going to also, this is right now, these guys are fighting hard to stay on the lead lap right now. Say you got Michael Spell right there. Dude Conrad's not too far behind him as well. And that's something these drivers are going to have to be careful about, is they want to try to stay on the lead lap here. As I switched to the wrong driver there. They want to stay on the lead lap here, so this is kind of where mistakes do sometimes happen, when they just kind of try to push a little bit too hard, and sometimes it comes back to bite you.
This is a track where it's either you love it or you hate it. I'm really surprised that we haven't seen more people tag the wall. Just people not comfortable with this track, don't like it for whatever reason. I'm surprised we haven't seen more people tag the wall coming off. And I'm really shocked that we've ran 66 green laps. I
am surprised that these drivers, like I said, haven't had as many difficulties as we thought they might, especially, let's say, with the difficult track. Especially when I saw in practice, it looked like drivers getting very loose. But I think that's just drivers learning what their limits are, and then being able to kind of dial back in, like, okay, this is what I know I can do race pace wise, to make some stuff happen. So. On the going green part, I'm not surprised, honestly. Even with the new faces, new names, these guys they've been killing it week after week. I've been really impressed with these guys. They put on great shows, and going green as much as they have. So yeah, again, hats off to all of them. That being said, though, I'm pretty sure we have some fans other than Larry Yingling, so we're going to run through our field here while things are kind of calm and cool and collected for the moment. We'll see if we commentators curse it. Right now, Larry Yingling is our leader here, started in the 4th position. Ryan Kelly in the 13 car is in 2nd, started in 3rd, went for that short pit strategy. I think it's definitely been a long-term game for him. Yeah, he's 2nd, but he's definitely gained some positions over where he was prior to the pit stops. Then jump back to that 93 of Kevin Brown. In the 3rd position here, again, doesn't seem like he has the pace that he had in the first run. Not sure, maybe something just isn't feeling right for him, or might be that dirty air as well, just isn't able to do what he was hoping to do. But we'll keep an eye on him as well, of course, through the race. Our pole sitter, Chad Wilkes, he's in the 4th position right now, just a couple seconds behind Kevin here in that 17 car. And then again, Maxwell Caldwell right now are definitely our biggest gainer of the race, from 18th to 5th, so plus 13 for him, all under green flag conditions, and also still running great lap times in that number 94 car. So I'd say he's probably hoping for yellow to bring this pack back together.
Yeah, just watching Charles Johnson here, he just took a big shot into the wall in the middle of 1 and 2, was able to recover it, but definitely not going to help his situation any.
Yeah, so it's definitely been biting a few drivers here and there. We saw the 76, unfortunately. I see Michael Spell in the pits now as well. You talked about him having a moment. Looks like he said that was enough. I'm going to get service done to my car. So we'll jump back to now our 6th position driver. That is Andrew Pleshy. He started 11th up to 6th, so also a great start for him as well here. I shouldn't say start, though, because we're already almost 2/3 of the distance done here. A little bit behind him, Skylar Brown in the 7th position at number 10 car, 13th to 7th. And then right behind, again, another one of the new faces, Joshua Schofner, right now in the 8th position. And of course, Brandon Paslak, we talked about him earlier. He is in the 9th spot, just about a second or so behind that number 50 car. And then right now, our last car in the top 10 is that number 25, our Super Speedway Series champion, Kevin Fries. I think season 6 champion, I should say. And unfortunately, that short pit strategy not working out for Lewis Woodall. You can see he's fallen back now all the way to the 11th spot. So I think there is a range of how far you can stretch it on the tires. But I think he also might have a little bit of right front damage there, Dale. So I think he may have caught the wall himself at some point. So I think that's definitely going to be hurting the performance of that car.
Yeah, definitely got a little bit of crinkle on that right fender and a little bit up in the hood, it looks like.
As I say that, Kevin Fries hits the pits here. So he's the first of the top 10 to make his final scheduled pit stop, I should say. We'll jump back now to Travis Turnmeyer, who's going to cycle through now up into the 11th position in the 51 car. Say Travis right now started 7th, running 11th. James Ledford in the 48. He's been having a pretty quiet night, a good night, but quiet night, 19th to 12th for him. And of course, Todd Merkel in that number 81 car, right about where he started 14th, currently running in that 13th position. And you mentioned James Lee kind of still hasn't been able to recover like he wanted to in the 14th spot after starting 6th. As I say that, Travis Turnmeyer, he hits the pits as well in that 51 car. And then we mentioned Matt Quick, one of the last drivers to make their pit stops. He was able to get around the leaders and get his lap back, and he's making the most of it now. He's up into that 14th position, being able to get around Charles Johnson recently. As you mentioned, he got into that wall. So Charles now in that 15th spot in that number 9 machine. And the remainder of the lead lap is now Robbie Richards in the 12. Is actually the last car on the lead lap as things run here.
Looks on those fresh tires taking a bottom there. I think Matt's going to be able to use Jim as a little bit of a pick maybe to get around some of these guys ahead of him.
Yeah, they'll have to keep an eye on that. I see Jim running the inside line. And you're right, though. I'd say this is where you maybe try to follow somebody through with those fresh tires and say, all right, you open the door and I'll try to go. But the thing I think right now is that the tire difference, the speed difference is just way too big. As I actually got to mention Lewis Woodall, he also now hits the pits here from about the 15th position. So he's been about the third car or so towards the front to make their scheduled last set of pit stops, as is Skylar Brown in the 10. So that window definitely has opened up for the leaders. And again, got to mention Ryan Kelly, though, here, Dale. He's the lap times have leveled off. He's only about 2 seconds behind Larry. So again, I think as a whole, I think this is a net positive for Ryan Kelly to be able to cycle through here in second.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great performance for him so far. Running the lap times, you need to, 33 flats, the same as Larry. The pit strategy seemed to definitely work out for him.
Because I want to say Ryan was right around, I think he was in the 3rd or 4th position before the pit stop cycle started. And I mean, he was definitely a pretty far gap behind Larry Yingling and Kevin Brown. As you can see, here comes that 13 Ryan Kelly, as we talked about, hitting the pits along with Kevin Hash. You see, hustles into the pits, locks it down just a little bit. I think he's going to be able to get away with that, though, and those tires aren't going anywhere else, so he might as well use them up on those entries there.
Yeah, watching Kevin as Ryan Kelly's taking the pits, up in his second, but 5.5 seconds off of Larry really not having a great performance in this second stint.
Yeah, whatever happened in the second run, definitely that car has not gone to his liking. I say, should we get the opportunity to maybe get a top 3 interview with him, we'll definitely see what changed from that first into the second. And honestly, I think it just might be clean air that's made the difference for that 93 car. But we'll definitely try to see if that is the case or not for him. As I say, Ryan Kelly, he's been able to exit the pits. So the critical thing for now for Ryan is he wants to exit the pits here in some clean traffic, because we saw that really burn the 00 a little earlier. So we'll see how Ryan's able to get out of the pits. Actually was able to jump around the 03 of Kevin Hash in that pit stop cycle. So that's already a good thing for him to be able to have that clean pit exit as he comes out of turn number 4. And here comes the 12 in the pits as well. That's not the 12. That's the 12. Robbie Richards. Robbie's going to hit the pits from just inside the top 10 there when he entered the pits there. And let's see, where is Ryan Kelly? I think he's got a little bit of traffic, but I think he's making pretty good work of him here. Also got Brandon Pasalacqua in the pits, the 33 as well of Nicholas Winook. Those two hitting the pits here from just inside the top 10 or just around the top 10 as well. We know Brandon was actually near the top 5 when he made his pit stop there. So, and actually, as I said, that Larry Yingling, he's going to hit the pits. I thought he was actually wait till everybody else pits to come in, but he pits a little bit before now. That 93 of Kevin Brown. I think Larry might be reacting to that 13 of Ryan Kelly.
the thing. You gotta make sure you don't pit too late, so you don't have enough time to make up that ground. So I think Larry's 20 laps. I think he's got a good strategy here, at least my opinion of the deal.
Yeah, say now the critical for him is getting a good entry and exit. Looks like they both hit their pit stalls well, so we'll keep an eye. I say looks like Kevin is hitting the pits as well in that 93 car, so he goes one lap further. Maxwell Caldwell, though, he's going to stay out here and he's going to cycle through in the lead. But what I want to watch for is to see where that 68 and 67 and 13 come out together. And again, Ryan Kelly's going to come out with it looks like about a half straightaway lead in front of that number 67 car. So we'll see how that comes into play here. But say the thing for Ryan Kelly, though, is he's got a little bit of traffic in front of him coming up here. So yeah, Ryan's goal here is you got to try to make quick work of these guys. You can see he makes quick work of that number 8 of Duke Conrad. That's going to grab him some more track position. And then I'm not sure, I'm going to check on the 9 of Charles Johnson. I think Charles has already pitted, yeah, about 5 laps ago. So they're going to be on fairly similar tires. And the 54, James Lee, similar situation as well, about 5 laps ago. So these guys are on fairly fresh tires. So this is going to make things challenging for that number 13 car of Ryan Kelly, because he's going to really need to try to get around these guys and get that clean air back on the nose. As actually, if you look in front of him a little further here, Dale, there's a lot of traffic coming up.
Watching Kevin Brown's pit stop, had a good stop, a little bit, slid him a little bit on entrance and all that. But I don't think he's going to have enough time to get back up here.
Yeah, I'd say right now, so we'll jump over to that 93 car. As you can see, he's right now, actually, he does cycle up behind Chad Wilkes, it appears. So that's already going to be one thing that he wasn't looking to see, is we still have 2 drivers that have yet to make their final pit stops. One of those is Maxwell Caldwell. You can see the pace difference between these drivers right now. And then also the number 89 of Matt Quick. So those two are going to stretch these tires and fuel as far as they can go, it looks like. Maybe bank on a caution as well. There's always a potential here. So let's say we're going to still keep an eye right now. As you see, Ryan Kelly was able to get around Charles Johnson. Now he's got to try to get around the 54. Again, that's James Lee, and then also the 33 of Nicholas Winook here. So we'll see if he can make quick work. Is he going to dive to the inside? See, the 54 wanted to do the same there, but he's going to kind of adjust his line there and move to the middle here. So again, Ryan's going to have to try to hustle here, because again, Larry Yingling not too far behind. Again, looks like about, what's the gap there? Still about a half a straightaway, I think, between the two of them. And now Larry's actually in all this traffic as well. Maxwell Caldwell's making his final pit stop of the race here, Dale, so he's going to hit the spot. Looks like he hits marks perfectly there. That's exactly what you want to see. And then I'll say that's going to leave just the 89 of Matt Quick as the last driver to make a pit stop, as he's going to cycle through. Actually, no, he's not going to cycle through. He's going to cycle through in the 3rd position, just because of the pace that 67 and the 8 and the 13 have been putting on.
I was watching Larry Yingling work traffic. He passed one car on the bottom, and then mid-corner moved up to the top side to get a run on the other one. It's kind of an amazing display.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, Larry's going to have to hustle like we talked about. So you see the gap actually about 3 seconds between the two of them, and there's only 15 to go here. So I mean, 3 seconds is a lot of time to try to gain. We know Larry was able to do it last time, but is he able to do it within 15 laps? Right now, you see the gap now down to about 2.8 seconds, as Larry's been able to get into some clean air again in that number 67 car. But same thing goes now for that 13 of Ryan Kelly. He's on some got some pretty clean air in front of him. Next car is going to be the 88 of Michael Spell. And you see Larry's going to have a few more cars behind him. You see the 9 and the 54 were side by side a little bit in front of him. So this is where I think where you catch lap traffic and how you get around them is going to make or break some of these drivers' finishes tonight.
Quick heading down pit lane. The battle I'm watching is between the 17 of Chad Wilkes and the 93 of Kevin Brown, as Chad is doing everything he can to keep Kevin behind him at this point.
Yeah, so I think our brains are on the same wavelength. I saw the interval between them there right there. So you're right. Kevin's got to the back of that 17 car, so now he's going to try to find a way to get around that 17. You see right now they're running pretty much the same line through 3 and 4. Chad got a little lower, which might hurt his exit speed. You see it does. Kevin's going to duck inside here. So this is that final spot for the podium. Is like you said, Matt Quick makes his final stop of the race. So I think that's going to complete the pit stop cycle as those two get close together. They're entering turn number 1. And so yeah, I think you saw that 17 of Chad Wilkes go ahead and roll out of it to make sure they didn't have any contact there. And that's going to give Kevin a pretty decent amount of breathing room now. I'm jumping back to the 13 again. Ryan Kelly here up in front. The lead's gotten down to about 2 seconds. But again, you see where where Ryan Kelly is. He's got some nice clean air in front of him. But I mean, look where Larry Yingling is here. He's got about 4 cars in front of him that he still has to work his way around. And again, a lot of them are on relatively new tires here. So this is not all said and done for that 67 car. As we're going to come across the line here, Dale, with 11 laps to go.
Yeah, he's kind of in a tough spot, having to work traffic. Working cars with fresh tires and older tires. It's a real tough spot to be in. As he's a second and a half off of Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, so even with the traffic there, he was actually able to go much quicker that last lap, about 4 or 5 tenths of a second quicker than Ryan Kelly. So you see the gap down to about a second and a half. So I mean, he can see Ryan Kelly, and that's pretty much when you're a driver, that's all you need to kind of help you jump that little bit extra that you need out of these cars. So say Ryan Kelly, he does have the clean air in his nose. That's going to help him a little bit. But I think those tires might be starting to fade off of that 13. But again, at some point these tires will equalize a little bit. So I think for Ryan, he's hoping that extra work that Larry's been having to do through this lap traffic might be enough to hurt him. That way, once he gets to Ryan, maybe doesn't quite have the rubber left to do anything with him.
Yeah, gap's closing though. Another 2 tenths off of it as they come around.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be for a lack of effort for these guys. I say right now, Larry, like I said, down to just about a second here, and he's only got 1 car between himself and that 13 now, and that is that 33 of Nicholas Winook. And I think what you're seeing right now from the 33 too is I think he's just trying to be respectful right now. He knows, I think he's got slightly better tires than the leader, but he doesn't want to play a role in this lead battle, so I think he's just kind of cruising behind the 13. At least that's my assumption right now. Might be trying to get his lap back as well, but the thing is, if they do go side by side, that's going to really slow the both of them down and really open the door for Larry.
Another thing with where Nicholas Winook's running too is it's a good opportunity to learn something. He's obviously not going to win this race 2 laps down. I mean, the stars would really have to align for that to happen, but he's in a good opportunity where he can just ride back there and learn something.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point. That's something that I do a lot actually when I'm in those situations when you follow these guys like Ryan Kelly, Larry England, Kevin Brown, Chad Wilkes and company. You kind of try to watch and learn what they do to try to get yourself a little bit better. As you can see, Nick he's going to drop to the inside, let Larry go. Like I said, again, just super respectful. I'll say not having the night he was hoping for, unfortunately, but definitely doesn't want to play any part in the leaders race for the win here. As I say, that gap is now pretty much gone here. As you can see, it's about 4 tenths, 5 tenths of a second between the top 2 as we cross the line here with 7 laps to go.
Showing about 3.5 tenths, and Larry's making up about 3 tenths a lap, so he's going to be there in a lap or 2 for sure.
Yeah, the question is, we interviewed Larry. He talked about once you get to that certain distance, that just whatever reason the aero wash or whatever it is in that car in front of him just really hurt his abilities to try to close that gap anymore. So, and now we'll see, does he play defense? Does he try to run the line that Larry's going to run? These final few laps. Also need to mention the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. Looks like he just got around Andrew Pleshy. That's a top 5 again back for Maxwell here. He's going to have about 4 more seconds to get to the 17 of of Chad Wilkes here. But we're going to stay probably to the end here with this lead battle because it's definitely going to start icing up here in just a few more laps as we're about to cross the line here. 5 more to go.
Interval down to about a tenth and a half now, and that's the lap time difference basically.
Oh, you see Larry just scrubbed the wall off of 2. I don't think enough to hurt the car at all, but I'm sure it definitely catches his attention. He's like, okay, there's going to be a little bit more aero push when I do this. So it looks like from where I'm sitting here, I think Maxwell or Ryan Kelly, I'm mixing up names all sorts today. I think Ryan's going to have to try to hug that first seam like we just saw him do. I think make Larry try to get to the top. As they say that Larry's going to peek to the inside. Can't quite do it though. And you see Ryan Kelly sends it deep there into 3. He's going to have to try to get that thing wound down and get it to rotate again. But I think you see that slight difference. He's about 3 laps of tire difference between that 13 and the 67 here.
Larry exited a little bit lower, but it didn't seem to hurt him like we've seen other drivers as he's looking to the inside again.
Oh, yeah, but Maxwell Ryan closed the door there, but you saw Ryan had to wash up there, I think, in reaction to it as well. So say Larry gets to the inside here off of turn number 2, and you see he's also got the momentum. So this is exactly what Larry's going to be hoping to see here, is to clear that 13, get some clean air on the nose of that car, and try to see if he can kind of sneak away here with as we're about to cross here with 3 to go. And I say, unfortunately, Ryan Kelly with those slightly older tires also going to now have that aero wash behind the 67. So it's going to be all for him to do to try to catch that gap back up.
Yeah, and when you let Larry England control the pace of the race, that's exactly what he does. We've seen it, time and time again. So he's definitely where he wants to be, and Ryan Kelly knows that. He knows that Larry's going to get up here. He's going to control the race. For these last 3 laps.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to Ryan Kelly though. He went with a strategy that was maybe not the conventional strategy that some of these drivers wanted to do. Of course, being one of the last ones to pit there on the tires. But again, we talked about Ryan Kelly. He's a really good tire saver, and he was able to do so again. I mean, I'm pretty sure Larry was probably a little bit stressed there in those final laps, whether or not first he was going to catch that 13 of Ryan Kelly, and then whether or not he was going to be able to find a way to get around him. And all it took, I mean, it really forced just a little bit of that bobble when you saw Larry kind of poke his nose entering one. I kind of made Ryan Kelly react, had to wash up a little bit there, and that really opened the door for Larry here as he's about to get that second most important flag for him, which is going to be that white flag, because if we get that white, which it looks like we will, this will be the final lap of the race, which means we will go caution free tonight, Dale. Again, just outstanding job of these drivers here, but we'll say not over till it's over for the win. But right now things looking very good if you're that 67 Larry England. Alright, through 3 and 4 for the final time. Looks like Larry's going to be able to keep this car picture perfect here, and he's going to get the win tonight. Able to get around the final laps, around that 13 of Ryan Kelly. Larry going to get the win here tonight at Homestead. Ryan Kelly, a great run for him, finishes in that second position. And then a little bit further back, though, still, I mean, a good run. We'll be able to find out what the difference was between that first run and those last couple runs for Kevin Brown. Say Kevin going to bring it home in that third position. I'm sure not what he was looking for. But again, still, I mean, a good result for him nonetheless.
Yeah, and our podium finishers today are also the top 3 in the standings. So I'm not very surprised to see this the way it turned out.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is what you kind of suspect you'll see at these races. Larry goes for a big slide here across the start-finish line. I say he's had plenty of practice doing these, but that's an impressive burnout there.
Yeah.
As Chad Wilkes comes to pay him a visit.
And gives him a love tap.
I think he's about to get another one from the 8 of Dude Conrad. Nope, loses him in the smoke. There's Maxwell as well. So I think these guys are... I think part of this might also honestly be a celebration of just a great race and these guys going caution-free. I say these guys are just going to have some fun now. I say you got all 3 of them here doing some donuts here on the front stretch. No, you can't say they don't have some fun here, huh?
Absolutely.
As Larry's motor expires.
I was going to say, as usual, Larry hand grenaded the motor, so there will be no inspection.
So I think that's the end goal there, is make sure that car is good to go. So I say it looks like Dude might be trying to help him get somewhere there for maybe for a picture or something like that. But with that though, we got to grab our top 3. We're going to start with that 93. Yeah, here goes the 8 of Dude Conrad. Going to try to maybe give Larry a push, maybe back to the pits there, if that car will actually roll. So anyway, though, let's get back to that previous lap here, and we'll take a look and we'll talk to our top 3 drivers here tonight. All right, let's hunt down that 9. Oh, he was ready for us. Dale, I say he put himself right in the channel, makes life easy for me. All right, Kevin. So, say kind of a tale of 2 races. It felt like for you. You were able to get that clean air in your nose and pretty much set sail there and kept Larry at bay for that whole first fuel run. But then just seemed like just something changed in that second run for you. Was it just the dirty air, or I mean, what was the difference for you tonight?
Yeah, definitely. We were good out in front, but we weren't expecting that dirty air. The dirty air definitely made it push a lot more than I was expecting to. Especially when we were in practice, it wasn't pushing as bad. But as soon as I got in the dirty air and it just pushed coming off the corner, and we definitely ate up the right front tire on that first pit stop. But pretty good run for 3rd place.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great run overall. Dale and I actually were surprised on that first run. I mean, you got out there to the lead. We were actually a little worried you might be burning off that right front. But I mean, that whole fuel run, and so you're able to keep Larry that, like you said, about that 5/10 of a second to about a second right before your pit stop there at the end. So, and I'm guessing, I mean, does that all just really account to the clean area? That way you're able to kind of just hit your marks and not have to worry about kind of avoiding those guys around you?
Definitely that. And I had thought that if I pitted a lap before Larry on the first pit stop, I'd be able to get in front of him and stay in front of him like we were doing. But he got through lap traffic better than I could, and I got unfortunately stuck behind somebody and the slim to brake, so it killed all my momentum. But definitely clean air played a huge factor.
Yeah, that's kind of what Dale and I were thinking. It seemed like that definitely did play a role, and you're exactly right about the clean air, and also just the getting through the traffic well. Almost played an outcome. It felt like in the finish of this race as well, where we saw a few drivers pit early, and I think the 00 is one of those. It was the first one to pit, so we're thinking, he's going to get out to a nice and big lead, but he had to slope a lot during traffic trying to get through them that were on the older tires, and I think that same thing, like I said, had to get on the brakes, not run over anybody, and cost you some time. But again, I mean, I feel like as a racer, say you might take a little bit of time lost with the what do you call it, with it going along with being a caution free race here.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was surprised it went caution free. It was definitely fun though, especially at the beginning when I was racing with Chad for a couple laps there. I knew if I could get out in front and be in that clean air, I'd be set. But like I said, oh well, third place is third place, better than nothing.
So I want to kind of talk about the next 2 weeks. I don't know if you've looked at the schedule, Kevin, but next week we go to Bristol for 240 laps. And then after that, we go to the Watkins Glen for 48 laps. What are your thoughts going into those two races?
We are really looking forward to Bristol. Bristol is one of my favorite tracks, so I'm hoping to be in kitchen that one. Watkins Glen, I can tell you right now, I'm one of the worst road racers. I probably will not finish that race. So, yeah, that's how we're looking forward to it.
Well, you got some time to run some laps over there, and so I'm sure you can pull in Ronnie Reiser. He can give you some tips on how to get around that road course. And I say, from my experience with these road courses with these cars, is just so you're going to have the low downforce, high horsepower package. So egg on the throttle and brake early.
Definitely, I'll take those tips. Appreciate you, Bo.
Always here to help. Yeah, great run tonight, Kevin. As I get another podium here to back up your win last week at Daytona. So great start to the season for you.
Definitely. Also, like thank Chris Caboo for painting the paint scheme as always, and you guys for putting it on.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I blanked on the thanks part. So appreciate that, Kevin. Yeah, great job again tonight, and look forward to catching you again here soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Dale. Now we got to jump over to our second place finisher. So he was able to put that Miami Vice is what I was calling it, paint scheme to good use tonight. Ryan Kelly started in the third position, finishes in second. Ryan, we kind of always talk about you being kind of Mr. Tire Save, and I mean, the pit strategy I think it was perfect. I mean, we saw the tires kind of equalize towards the end after that second run, and so obviously Larry got around you, but then it seemed like you really stabilized about that 2 seconds behind him, and then obviously able to jump and get in that pits. And I mean, from where I was sitting, it just seemed like if maybe one thing or two things had gone differently when both of you were going through lap traffic, where maybe you got clear a little bit better than Larry, kind of a situation, we might be seeing you in victory line time instead of that 67 car.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely could have gone either way, but I mean, caution-free race, that's always good. And wow, what a race! What a race!
Yeah, that was a great one from all of you guys. I saw in practice, it looked like drivers were having their hands full a little bit, getting loose on the exits as well. That may have just been some qualifying attempts, obviously not going quite to plan, just finding the limits, maybe kind of a situation. But I mean, how was the car feeling for you? We actually pulled Larry in. I'm sure he talked to you about it. Pulled Larry in during the race a little bit to see how his car was handling. But how was it on your side of things?
Yeah, on the initial, as soon as you got tires, it was definitely loose, but as long as the run went on, the tighter you got. And it was definitely hard when you were in dirty air. That was the huge thing tonight. Even if you saved, because I know we did a practice run before the session opened, and there was one point where I had like 15% more tires on my right front, and I still couldn't pass Chad because he was in clean air. So dirty air was definitely a big factor tonight, and clean air was where you wanted to be.
Yeah, and again, I think Dale and I were talking about, I think that's where we really liked your strategy there with going with those short pit strategies to try to get that clean air, force them to kind of get around you. But again, it really all depended on how you were able to get through traffic and where you even where you cycled out in the pit stops. The first set of pit stops, it seemed like you actually had some really nice clean air when you first came out. I say that second run though, you kind of came out with a pretty decent group of drivers that you had to work your way around that weren't that much older tires. So I think that definitely made life a little bit more challenging for you. But we saw you were pretty committed to the inside line right at that first seam there. Was that pretty much what you were planning on doing all race long, or did you have thoughts about trying to maybe run that middle top groove, that second seam?
Yeah, I like that second seam a little more, but since that was pretty much the preferred seam, I was trying to just get a little bit lower, right on that white line, just to get a little clean air in the nose and maybe help the car turn. But yeah, overall, I guess it worked out pretty well. I'll take second, and it was a good race.
Yeah, so it was a great race. You guys put on an awesome show, and so obviously you're able to put your paint scheme to good use. Got plenty of TV time this evening as well. So love it. So hopefully maybe you'll see it out a little bit more. I know it's with it being Homestead Miami, it kind of fits the landscape here obviously a little bit more perfectly than others. But great looking paint scheme and great job tonight, Ryan. But I'd say Dale, before I ask for anything shots though, I want to see Dale. Any questions on your side, sir?
Basically just the same thing I asked Kevin. Like the schedule's changed so much this year. We go into Bristol next week. After that, we go into Watkins Glen. What do you think about that?
Yeah, these are two, I don't want to say wild card weeks, but definitely 2 weeks that we haven't seen in the league for a while. So it should maybe shake things up, and it should be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I think Bristol especially, we'll have to see. Obviously, I want to say that's going to come out after the new build as well, so we'll have to see what kind of changes happen with the car and setups and all that as well. So I'm sure the admin's going to be a little bit busy as well to make sure everything's good to go there on Thursday. We'll see if maybe the changes might bring some different lanes, if you will, to Bristol. I know before it's kind of you run the wall, that's the fastest way around, and that could be interesting as well with the new not downforce package, with the new aero package where you can kind of run the wall a little safer, where you almost get that pocket of air. So could make that rim riding at Bristol pretty risky, but also pretty rewarding.
Oh yeah, well, hopefully it doesn't come into effect that much, because I don't think we'd see a car leave the wall then.
Yeah, well, I'll be curious to see how it all pans out. I don't think you're going to be able to talk admins into doing the dirt version of Bristol, which will be coming out next week as well. So that'd be an interesting one to see. Maybe that can be an exhibition race at some point.
Yeah, maybe a all-star race on dirt or something like that.
That's an idea. We'll throw it by the admins. But yeah, again, Ryan, great job tonight, man. We love the strategy. Like I said, just a couple laps short. I think just if one or two things had gone differently, we might have been interviewing you as well in Victory Lane. But most of all, just really happy to see you back here for the full season. Looking forward to seeing you the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you, of course, and also thank my teammates for this one. Big thank you to Andrew and Brandon for helping me with the scheme. Thanks to the family watching and the admins for the league.
Great job again, Ryan. Hopefully we'll catch you again here soon on some more interviews. And but yeah, looking forward to seeing you next week.
10-4. Thanks, Gail.
All right, Dale, that leaves one person left, and that is our race winner, that number 67 of Larry Yingling. We chatted with him mid-race there. I don't know if that's a very common thing that we've seen, but Larry made it feel like we was just kind of doing a Sunday afternoon drive there, putting down fast laps while leading and talking to us. And all right, so my question is, how much were you sweating those last couple laps when you had to try to get through those lap cars to try to get to Ryan Kelly to try to put a move on him?
Well, first off, shout out to everyone in the league for the caution-free race. The way this car drove, especially on fresh tires when it was pretty cold, I didn't really expect a caution-free race. But yeah, I was definitely worried that Ryan won himself in that race, pitting that early. I really wanted to stay out an extra lap or two. But I was just thinking that first run, how Ryan pitted earlier than me, and even with, I know I said during my interview during the race that even 2 lap faster tires was way faster, but the way his tires stabilized on that first run, that forced me to pit earlier than I kind of wanted to, and it was almost too late.
Yeah, I think it was like about 3 to go, I want to say, is when you were able to make that move on him. And almost a little bit of a mistake that he did as well, where he kind of washed up a little bit entering turn 1 to open that door for you on that inside line. But that was one of the things I was wondering, was when we saw Ryan Kelly make that pit stop and then you came in, I think it was about 3 laps later, if it was in reaction to that 13, because like you said, you kind of you don't want to be one of the first ones to pit there, but I think what may have been kind of something in your favor was you had a decent gap over third and fourth position. So was that something that played in your role as well, where it's like, okay, I can react to Ryan without stressing about maybe Kevin and Chad as much?
Yeah, for the most part, I was also paying attention to Kevin and Chad, and they were staying out with me, and I really wanted to stay out, and then half of me also really wanted to pit, but I knew if I just at that point it was like 2.5, 3 seconds off pace on old tires, so I just knew the race coming to an end pretty soon. I had to pit.
Yeah, definitely, obviously the right decision because, like you said, a few laps later, you don't know where you're going to come out in traffic. If you're going to have a few more guys to try to get around, slow your pace up, things of that nature. So, and that's these races. It's obviously speed and pace, which we know you have plenty of, but it's also strategy where you got to play your cards right and hope it works out. It's like because again, like Ryan Kelly, I mean, we always talk about week in, week out. He's a phenomenal tire saver. And like you said, he was able to equalize a little better than some of those guys around you. So you were aware enough to notice that and say, oh, okay, I need to kind of play a little bit safe here and maybe not go as long as you wanted to, obviously, to kind of not put yourself in that box at the end.
Yeah, definitely. It don't matter how fast or slow you are, you can outsmart. If you can't win on speed, you can definitely outsmart everyone, and he definitely almost did both. I almost hit the wall. I kind of hit the wall off of 4 with like coming to 5 laps to go. He got on the gas a little bit too early, so I got on the gas early, and we both slid up to the wall, and I scraped it a little bit, and I don't think he did. And luckily, I didn't lose much momentum.
Yeah, so we were actually watching that. We saw it was just a little. I would say of some of the wall contact we saw. I said I think that was one of the least of anything. I don't think that gave you any fender damage, anything like that. So I think you were able to get away with that one pretty well there. So, but I mean, yeah, again, hats off. Another great performance for you tonight. I say again, not a surprise. I say it continues your streak of top threes as well with the Area 51 Racing League going back to season 7 as well, all of season 7, I should say. So I say definitely keeping on where you left off here. But definitely, Dale, any questions or anything you want to run through, Larry here?
I got a good idea how he's going to perform at Bristol. We haven't seen you on a road course. At least I haven't seen you on a road course yet. So in 2 weeks, we go to Watkins Glen. What are your thoughts?
Good win, Chad. I'll be racing for second at best, most likely. I love road racing, but just me and how these tires react on road courses just ain't fitting my style whatsoever. But I'll definitely have to practice, and like I said, I'll try and outsmart them.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point too. As you know, obviously the road courses go caution free, so cautions will be off from that, just the local yellows only. So obviously qualifying will be critical for those. And of course, the other thing that's coming up is that new build soon. So next week, so we don't know what that's going to change on the Cup cars. Maybe there might be some adjustments on the tire model or things of that nature. So I mean, it could throw a whole swing at things for what maybe drivers are used to starting next week.
I definitely hope they change the tires a little bit, because I definitely need it.
I don't know if you need any extra help there, Larry, but we'll have to wait and see. That's say you get those 12 weeks, and then we get some changes from iRacing, puts everybody on their toes again, and so usually it seems like the cream finds their way back to the crop and able to kind of make adjustments to find their way to the front again. So, I mean, Larry, again, awesome run tonight. I say it was a blast seeing you work your way through there. It was a good battle with you and Ryan there at the very end to see who was going to get that win. But I got to give you the floor here for any shout outs you'd like to give for getting that win tonight.
Well, I definitely got to shout out my teammates this race: Maxwell Caldwell, Angie Pleshy, Ryan Kelly, Chad Wilkes, Kevin Hash Brown, Brandon Pasalacqua, and Nicholas Manook. And also shout out to my sponsor, Hash Brothers Performance. If you're near the southwestern Virginia area and need work done on your Ellis engine, among other GM performance work, head over to Hash Brothers Performance on Facebook to see what they can do for you. And as always, definitely got to thank you guys for broadcasts. It's very enjoyable rewatching them. Me top 3 aside, and definitely looking forward to Bristol.
Yeah, so it should be a lot of fun. So yeah, congrats again, Larry. Look forward to seeing you next week. I say we'll see what Bristol entails for us. To say definitely will be an interesting one. I say I think that's gonna give a pretty good challenge for all these drivers there.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Dale, that is our race winner, that number 67 of Larry Yingling. While we watch him, let's go ahead and go over our final results real quick. So see Larry Yingling 1.2 seconds over that 13 of Ryan Kelly after 100 straight laps of green flag racing. Again, hats off to everybody tonight. Great job by all of them. Ryan Kelly grabs that second spot using some really good pit strategy, put Larry on his toes, but Larry is able to get through the traffic and get there in time to make that pass for the win. So we talked about Kevin DeBrown getting that third place finish. A great run for him as well. Started off strong, just that it sounds like that arrow push just really bit him there. Wasn't able to get the clean air that he was hoping for. Chad Wilkes brings home a solid fourth place finish in the 17 car. Again, just out of Maxwell Caldwell. I'll say, I know we talked about him a lot tonight, but 18th to 5th, green all the way. Hats off to him. That's a great run for that number 94 machine. Then you got 6th through 10th here. You've got Andrew Pleshy there. Skylar Brown, a great showing for him. Same thing for Joshua Schofner there in the 50. Brandon Pasolaco brings home a top 10 in 9th, and Kevin Freeze rounds out our top 10. Another big charger here in that 11th position, James Ledford from 19th to 11th. So James also found a way to make his way to the front all the way through the end of that one. Travis Turnmeyer in 12th. Lewis Weddle able to stay as the last car on the lead lap in 13th position. Say some of these drivers unfortunately got trapped a lap down, but I mean with the pace that Larry and Ryan were doing, it was going to be hard to do otherwise. Say 14th, Todd Merkel, Charles Johnson, James Lee, Robbie Richards, Matt Quick, Kevin Hash, and Michael Spell. And then the remainder here, Dude Conrad, Jim Brooks, Gabe Butler, Eric Laurie, Nicholas Winook, Paul Patterson, and Trevor White. I think the best two things here, Dale, is obviously 8 caution-free, but also every driver that started this race finished this race as well. So hats off to all of these guys putting on a really good job tonight. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on. I had to try to keep track of who was where, what was the pit strategy, how were the tires going to equalize. I mean, there's a lot going on there tonight.
Yeah, everybody just handled the race well, handled the car well, working through the live traffic and the different tire strategies. So again, hats off to all the participants. You don't really see this too often anywhere that a race will go green flag end to end.
Yeah, so they've been making a habit of it though lately. It seems like so. And again, even last week at Daytona, they went green for so long there up until the end there, and say a wild finish though to finish it off. And again, everybody able to make it to the flag unscathed. So, yeah, hats off to all the drivers. Another great race here this evening. Congrats again to our top 3: Larry Yingling, Ryan Kelly, and Kevin DeBrown. Like I said, next week we'll be back at Bristol. That is going to be a challenging one for all the drivers here. So it's going to definitely test some of the patience and some of the frustration of drivers. To say that's kind of what Bristol entails for a lot of these guys. So until then, again, I want to thank you all for joining us. Dale, as always, really appreciate you being a part of this one with me. So I'm glad you're able to get your internet back up and running, because I say it's definitely a lot more enjoyable to do this with you.
Yeah, it was tough, man. It was right down to the minute almost. So.
Yeah, I say we got to play it tight. Got to keep it exciting for ourselves, even, right?
That's right.
But yeah, so no, thank you again, everybody, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Thank you, of course, to Area 51 for letting me put this on. Thanks to all of you that are watching. Hope you enjoyed it tonight. And of course, as always, if you can, please try to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and until Sunday, have a good night.